Hi, Tony Selzo here. Welcome to Line. You know, we have continued to find some incredible, really subject matter experts in the intersection of marketing, sales, and technology that are really using those tools to build some incredible brands. Brandman University in Irvine, California is doing just that. And I have their Chief Marketing Officer on the show today. And Ram Singh is our guest. Ram, we've had some technical difficulties, but we're pulling this off. We're getting through it, right? So the way you're using technology today has transformed and changed in the Google age, right? I mean, the way we're going to market, especially with this university, is completely different than it was 5-10 years ago. Would you agree?
I would agree with that, Tony. That is an accurate statement. And staying ahead, I mean, you mentioned it in your introduction, staying ahead of these changes is what any organization should strive for. If you've got a good product, you've got a good story, you got to keep watching out for what are the changes. And we're just one of the humble organizations trying to stay ahead of the changes that consumers want, that students want, and that technology has allowed us to do.
And I want to come back to that key word that you just said, story. I mean, really, your university has a very unique story and how it's not only been founded, its history, and then really how you're sharing that story with your students and using that as a way to connect and helping people really improve their lives through education. Talk to us about that.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, you are absolutely right. The university was set up as Chapman University College in 1958. So we've been around for a while. And in 2009, we became separately WASC accredited Brandman University. But I think going back to the story, what makes us so unique is the amount of effort, time, resources we invest in the success of the student. That is at the heart of every story that we tell. And we tell that story on multiple avenues. Our communications department sends those out on communication channels and social channels. Here in marketing, I'm trying to tell the same story through the multiple influencer channels. But the long and short of it is you hit the nail on the head by saying, what is it that makes us so unique? And there's lots of data available on Brandman that any prospect, we welcome students, whoever is involved in such life-changing decision matters, their family members, to review this. We have astonishingly high graduation rates, almost 70% graduation rate. Our loan default rates, very low. I mean, one of the lowest that you can find in the low single digits. I mean, these are the kind of things that make our story unique. We're a private not-for-profit, so as the very premise sets up, we invest in the success of the student. So almost everything that we do, we have student-centric on our mind. We're always trying to make the outcome the best for our student. That is what creates these great stories. And here in marketing, we're simply trying to disseminate those stories on multiple influencer and direct response channels.
Well,
and back to the point you were introducing earlier, those channels may have changed, but the story continues to be the same.
Well, and not only the story is so much more powerful now because we're in a world where education, it's kind of taken some flack. I mean, we're seeing student loans in disproportionate default to, there's been Ivy Tech, the ITTs of the world have been catching some flack because of really becoming an online machine to make money and to get funded by, some of the grants have done that. And you guys have really stayed away and been the polar opposite to those ends in really the success, really 2 words, student success. I mean, the default rates and the success that you've had in graduates is really pretty powerful. I mean, I don't want to just brush over that lightly. Those are some significant stats that you guys are able to tout. Is that fair?
That is very fair, and I think that is at the heart of all of our stories. 3.5% loan default rates is just unheard of. And I think one of the things that makes us happy is our students find the value of that education. So not only do they move up in their careers in whatever they're trying to do, they find the value in that education, and then they decide to pay those loans back. And that's one of the reasons we take pride in a combination of a very high graduation rate and a very low loan default rate. You are absolutely right. That is at the heart of our story, because as an organization, we invest in student success. I have been on some other shows / interviews before where I've talked about some of the things that we do that are so unique. And I'll be happy to go into any level of detail that you want in terms of how we make that happen. That's in the DNA. That is what we stand behind.
Well, we only got 6 or 7 minutes, so I'm going to get you down to one significant detail, right? You know, you said this really important fact. And, you know, the student success comes from the student experience. What's the one thing that you think that you guys do that really makes that student experience different and really allows them to succeed at such a high rate?
Excellent question. Let's take a step back, right? I mean, if you don't have to go back too far in the history of time, go back 10 years, go back 15 years, the world was, you saw a lot of organizations where even if they had a good story, they would tell the story and they wanted the student to hear what they have to offer. The world has changed. So to answer your question, what's the big thing, the one thing that we take pride in? We listen to the student. It's not about us trying to tell them what to do. We live in a technology age where information proliferates. We recognize that people have choices. They may listen to us on one channel and then they take action on completely different other channel. They might go to our social channels to look for referrals on what others are talking about, and they might finally walk into the campus and say, I'm ready to enroll. Recognizing that the power is not in the hands of the provider, but recognizing that the power sits in the hands of the end consumer. That is a shifting point. That is what, in my humble opinion, businesses need to understand today. Give the power to the student and be responsive to or your customer and be responsive to what they need.
I mean, I think that's a very powerful statement. I just want to reiterate it. It's like, you know, being an institution and thinking of your student as a customer is a pretty different paradigm shift, especially from a lot of us that have gone to the traditional school systems and dealt with the institution, and really understanding that this is a conversation that you need to be responsive with your brand. You need to embrace what they're asking for. I mean, there's studies out there talking about one of my favorite books is The Personal MBA, where they go through the math of what an MBA is actually worth, and they make this entire disposition that it's not a good investment of time. And I think we're getting to that age where people are really looking at, especially the information age today, when we have access to almost everything that we'd ever want, you know, through Google from an information standpoint, we really have to create a student experience that allows them to achieve success. Is that kind of really what's at the core of what you guys are doing?
It is absolutely at the core, and I couldn't have said it better. You nailed it, because that is when we understand, that's a mind shift. When we understand that such a transition has happened, then as an organization, you respond to it. Like you were describing, you can Google things up, you can look at your friends, what they're talking about, you can look at different avenues in social media in terms of what the conversations are going on, you can walk up, meet one of our outreach community members and hear about that, but eventually that decision is in your hands. So what we are trying to do, we run this as a portfolio. We have a combination of influencer channels and direct response channels, and without getting too technical, what basically that means is it allows me to share our story, fact-driven story, with the student in whichever mode they want to interact with us on, whether it's digital, whether it's offline, whether it's through TV, radio, conversation. We share this information with them, and we respect the fact that they may want to verify that information going into multiple places. So we are not trying to control that conversation. We're just out there telling our story on multiple avenues, recognizing that the power is in the hands of the student to make that decision. All we're trying to do is share that story and empower the student to make that decision. And we are there every step of the way, from the time somebody engages with us to the time they become a student and beyond. Our coaches are with them through the whole journey. Should they have any question at all about what the program is, whether it's right for them, what their choices are, what their options are, whether they want to take it online or on ground, how does it suit their convenience, their family life, we're there every step of the way to help them assist in making that decision. And that really is the overall marketing portfolio that we believe.
Yeah, I mean, Ramendra, I mean, you couldn't say it better. And I just wanted to just leave and kind of close with this message to the businesses, that the people that are going to see this. I mean, you got to take an omni-channel approach. You've got to embrace your buyer where they're at, and you got to realize it's a conversation. It's not a statement. I mean, it's a two-way street these days. And if a university like Brandman can do it, and Ram can do it, I mean, you can do it as a business. So take a lesson from a non-for-profit in Irvine, California. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate the opportunity.
It's awesome.